the office came down to give her something, it was just busy work. I don't think it pertained to the lesson they'd been working on. So, and this would give you actually applicable lessons that they could use at that time.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. So we are going to do a quick demo. So let me get this rolling. So Mike, I know you've kind of been in this, but you can just type in diffit.me. That'll take you to the Diffit website. It's also in our class link if you want to find it there. It's kind of a light green. What would you call that?
Are you talking about?
It's not lime green, but yeah, what would you call this logo? Teal? I don't know.
Teal is what I was going to say, but that's
kind of more green than teal. I don't know. I don't know what color that is. We need to find the hex code of this color and see what its name is. But it's kind of green. So on their website, it says it's learning resources for all. You can find the just right instructional materials, saving tons of time. So I'm telling you right there, it's more efficient. The way it works is whatever you're teaching, they've got you covered. So you can insert links, a YouTube, you can upload a Word document, PDF. Here's that literally anything I was talking about before. And then the step 2 is you have those student-ready activities. So you can see here all these different formats of ways you can save the activity it gives you.
Well, what I liked about it was the steps. I mean, any of the stuff I worked through said, okay, do this, then do this, then do this, and it was really simple.
Yeah, you really just pick a template and then save it in whatever format. And to me, that's what sets Diffit apart from other AI tools, right? Some of them, you can have it create something. I know ChatGPT, for example, it can create certain things, but it's not always ready to export. It's not ready to assign in minutes. And you and I were just talking about yesterday, I think, actually, that even if you ask it to, create an image, how long does it take to do that?
Yeah, I'm amazed how long it takes, actually.
And especially if you're on the free account, you're going to use up all of your free account, platform, whatever you want to call it. It's going to make you wait hours before it can do anything else. This doesn't do that. So let's just kind of jump over. Once you're signed in, since you're going to be on your school account, it's going to tell you at the top that you have free trial access to premium until the end of June. So on the 30th, that's when our trial is going to end. But anything that you've created between now and then is still going to stay in your Diffit account. So definitely try and check it out before then if you haven't got into it yet. That way you already have those resources created. So you can kind of see here, the very first option is literally anything. Any topic, theme, question that you have, it can create any material for. It has a books feature that is actually pretty new in the last couple of months. They unveiled that, I'm going to say middle of February. So you can put in a title or an author. You can put the specific chapter, or maybe you're doing a couple of chapters. So you want to start at 1 and end at 5 of whatever the book y'all are covering in class is. You can add in an article or a YouTube link. You can paste copied text, or you can upload that PDF or vocabulary list. This used to be 10 words. They just changed it to 20 words.
Oh, nice.
So that is brand new. You just paste in your words, tell it what level you're teaching, the language, and hit generate resources. And that's on all of these. So all of them are going to ask me what grade level I'm teaching. And then you just hit generate, and it's there.
And you're not just generating a single aspect of the lesson. Like you were saying before, when you generate resources, it gives you that adaptive passage. It gives you a summary. It gives you vocabulary words. It gives you a lot of stuff.
So let's just kind of try it out for those who have not been in it. And some of these, it does give you the option to align it to the standards. So you can see right now it's only showing me ELA, history, and science. I do know that they are working on math. It's in the beta version right now, so it's not actually unleashed on the website yet, but that is coming very soon. So, Mike, pick a topic.
Pick a topic. Weather in the Mediterranean during November.
Oh, dang it. Tested me here. Oh, I forgot an R.
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously we probably want to tie this to science, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you can see here, it is pulling up the Texas standards. So these are the actual current up-to-date science TEKS. You can choose a grade level. So what grade level do we want to go today?
Let's do 8th grade.
Okay, 8th grade. And then I'm just going to do a search for weather because I don't have their TEKS memorized. So let's just check off. Let's do that one. That seems like the most basic one. Okay. So it's going to ask what type of reading. So you can choose informational or fictional text. So if you want it to be a little bit more fun, you can do that. We're just going to leave it on informational, and then we're going to hit generate resources. So you'll see how fast this goes once that bar is across. I'm going to have so many different resource options to choose from. It's going to show me a list of vocabulary words. It's going to give me a passage, and you can actually edit any of those if you don't like exactly what it gave you.
And I can tell you that the time to create this is different. I did one earlier today on Notebook LM, and it created it in about 5 seconds.
Yeah. So you can see here, it's already kind of titled this. I can see graphics. If I don't like that graphic, I could actually change. It's going to give me a few that have to do with weather. I kind of like that one. Yeah. Then you can go down, and you're going to see that adapted reading passage. It created this on the fly based off of our input. So that is very, very cool. Again, you could take a look at that. If you don't like it, you can edit it, or I could copy it. Here I have a quick little summary. Hey, this is what they're talking about in that article. And then I see those key vocabulary words. If I don't like those or I want more, I can add vocabulary words. We can add images, again, if somebody's needing that visual piece. And then I see multiple choice questions. Same thing. We can add questions. I can tell it to show me the answer if I just want to make sure it's correct. We can edit. We can copy. We have short answers. So I know that constructive response questions are very popular now. So you've got some short answers, and then you have open-ended. So students can actually work on those skills that we're going to see on the STAR test as well, even in, a science topic.
And the cool thing about this is, to go back to that discussion we had about having the sub in the classroom. If you had a sub that was given nothing, but she had an idea what they were discussing, she could type that in and look at all the content that's right there for her. And that doesn't even include the activities that it'll generate if you want.
Right. This is just kind of a quick overview. You can also see this translate button up here. So again, if I did need to change it into Spanish, French, whatever, you can do that. You could print just this. Maybe this is your sub plan. Hey, this is what my kids are reading. This is what they're talking about, vocab. You can print that off and leave it for your sub. You can put it into a doc if you want to do that instead of printing this page. And then over here, this is the huge seller of Diffit. Get student activities.
You know what? I got a thought here. What about if you had a situation on the campuses where there was no content left for the sub behind? Could somebody come along on the campus and just be responsible for that happening? Saying, okay, that this individual came in and she didn't have material for subbing that day. Could there be somebody on the campus that maybe coordinates with the campus on a regular basis and gets that content out to them? You could have like an instructional coach that just gets that content built for them just in those events. That way, the office doesn't have a scramble, and the teacher doesn't necessarily have to know it when she comes, or the sub doesn't have to know when to come in. But that way, that person could show them how to use that content.
Yeah, no, I think that would be great. And, we have a subfolder that is set up online here. So that would be a great place. If I'm a teacher, maybe I just keep something in there for a rainy day in case, like I said, I wake up sick, that we kind of have that backup plan. And, we have some grade levels who kind of team teach. So there's a couple of them that teach the same thing. So if one of them happened to be out, the other one could say, hey, here you go to the sub. Yep. But not all of our teachers are like that. Some of them are the only teacher of that content topic in that grade level. So it's a little bit harder for everybody else around you in your hallway to even know what you're teaching on any given day.
But, if you think about it, back in the day when you were short a person or short a teacher and you had to have a sub, it wouldn't even, it's not even something you could think about or consider creating on the fly.
Right. Now, and even if they go to the office may not know what you're talking about in second grade on Friday.
Or in some cases, the office could just type in some kind of prompt and say, here you go, take this with you.
Yeah. We'll just show them this.
Show them that.
So these are those student activities that it generated. You can see at the top, you can filter. So if I know I want to do a vocabulary activity, or if I want them to work on their writing strategies, I could click and have it filter that way. If I want my students working together and collaborating, you've got tons of options. I can also change the format. So if I know I want it to be a printable workbook, or if I want it to only be a Google Slides, you can specify that here. So it's going to just kind of show you recent things that I've clicked on. So the last one I clicked on was the song analysis, bingo. Tons and tons of options. You can see, again, we've got vocabulary things. You can have it make a Google form, quiz. There's some basic just note-taking. I know that, a lot of people like the Cornell way of taking notes, and there's a format for that on here.
So let me ask a question. As you go past those, the Google form, does it actually create a Google form, ready to go? It doesn't just show you what to type in, it just...
Right, yeah, I can actually export it, and it's in my Google ready to go.
Nice.
So there are ways to summarize learning. Maybe you're in elementary and you want to tie it to the 5 senses. What did you hear today? What did you smell?
Right.
I think that's huge. I know the 5 W's is really big with vocabulary, so that's in there. And you can see that oftentimes there's going to be more. It's not showing me everything here. Parts of speech, different types of thinking, vocabulary, more getting into some reading strategies, emoji reaction.
I wonder if at the lower levels, at the lower grades, like in those classes where the teachers teach multiple things, or they go across the hall for their other content, if they couldn't create content like this and one teacher get part of it and the other teacher keep what they generated, that way it's aligned across the hall.
Yeah. So again, if you're reading a book, there's a character traits assignment.
Oh, nice.
There's a character phone design. I think that could be really fun with all of the technology we have today.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think the kids would love that. Now we're into collaboration. So there's some different options here of working with a group. I like this, though, the setup. Okay, here's the instructions. This is what you were reading, and what does student 1, student 2, student 3 think about it? You're getting them to talk and work together. I love that. Critical thinking. You've got some flow charts. Some of them do repeat because they're good for multiple areas. A comic strip. How fun.
Yeah.
Partner collections.
When you were scrolling down earlier and it said 9 more, I thought that it just had 9 more.
That was it. No, that's for that category. Yeah. There's just so many. So we are going to end up just picking one.
And does this save as a PDF if you just want a copy for yourself?
You can save it as a PDF.
Okay.
Its default is to make it a Google Slides.
Okay.
But for purposes of today, let's just do a vocabulary practice. So it's going to generate here in just a second. I'm going to see what I could export. You can change the color. Again, its default is going to be this kind of green color. If you don't like the green, you could change it to any of these 5 colors. You've got these formats here. And then over here on the side, you can see there's actually multiple pages. So it's not just one slide. I've got some short answer questions. That one was multiple choice. And it actually built this slide deck. So you could use this as the teacher. This is what you're going to display on the screen,
and
right?
No one had to go in and create a slide deck. No one had to add slides and come up with a design and a theme. It was all done.
That image is there. The instructions are there. The collaboration piece is there. So we're going to go ahead and hit export, though you could customize if you wanted to change something. So we're going to go ahead and do that and let it generate. Again, this is going to depend on how many slides you have. That's going to vary based on the activity. And then you can see the options. So I can just open the Google Slides if I want to see it as a teacher. If I know it's ready to go, I don't need to change anything. I can just immediately share it to Google Classroom. Since you're signed in with your Google account, it's going to pull up. You can literally click what classes you want to assign it to, or like you were asking, I could just download it as a PDF or as a PowerPoint if you want to do it that way. So let's just go and open it in Slides so we can see. We've got some teacher instructions here on the first page. So if I wanted to assign this, I could just delete this, or I could make a copy and keep that one, or print this out and then delete it. And then you'll notice when you assign to kids, they can click. It's editable, so they can type in exactly what they want to answer for that question. You can see here I've got a word. It wants me to fill in some of these. So I can see the definition. That way every student has the same one. What are some characteristics? What are some examples of this word? What are some non-examples of this word? So really working on those Frere models, which is a great way to get students to understand vocabulary. And again, I clicked for a vocabulary lesson. So that's all this is built around. I can see part of the reading passage that we generated, and then students can take notes of important things as they're reading. Next paragraph, same thing. They can take notes and kind of break it down in chunks instead of having one long passage. Now we're getting into the questions. So they'll put their answer here, and they can add why they chose that. Or maybe you have them explain what paragraph or which slide, in this case, they got the answer from. You could do that as well. Short answer questions, open-ended questions. So this one is they would be with their partner. So they're going to put their answer, and then they're going to chat and say, hey, what does your partner or group say about this? Same thing. And then these are just additional engagement slides. So you could pull these in at any point in the lesson. I could move this up if, I want you to turn and talk before we get into questions. I could, throw that up here. And it's done.
Just think about all the time we spent over the years creating slide decks for different projects. And this one created it, in the background while we were looking at other content on the same subject. And I love the flexibility. You've got the ability to create the slides. You can create worksheets. You can create put it in the Google Classroom.
Absolutely.
So you can work on it all together, or the students can work on it individually.
Yeah. And maybe you have a couple. Maybe you start with vocabulary on this topic, and we know that it's probably not going to take the whole class. While they're working on that, you could be generating another one on the same thing. I could go and copy what my input was and have a similar piece that's not a vocabulary lesson. So taking the same thing, and anything that you create, it's going to save under your activities. So if you get out of this, it's not gone forever because you didn't export it. It's going to be saved in your activities because you are signed in. Okay, so I'm